You don't even need to ask it, Jacob. I'm feeling hyped for game 2. I want to see how things shake up. We do have a battle bus going from north to south, so especially for duos like QNDX and Phantom, they're going to be the last to jump out of this battle bus and begin that early game engagement, although it is going to be the ones that kind of finish that off-spawn battle faster than anyone else due to their drop spot. Predage here with Radion. We saw kind of Radion's pop-off in the last game. If you can do anything close to that in this match, it could even be enough to put themselves in that first place spot.
Yeah, it wasn't so much only the eliminations, it was just the timing of those eliminations, keeping them alive, able to get all those resources. Axe Force Clownski contested over Pleasant Piazza in game 1. Doesn't look like it proved to be too rough for them. Hizix and Donde are there as well, and this is a team that's been landing at Pleasant Piazza for quite a while, and I don't think anybody wants to kind of give it up for free. Yeah, you maybe disengage, but maybe you fight out just like this. Great shots to start it off for Axe Force, but nobody's there to kind of follow up on that, especially since he has to heal.
Axe Force now continuing to look for options. So far, he's going to be the one that was potentially put into danger, but with the shots connecting and the elimination picked up, Axe Force now has done a great job to set themselves up for this early game.
Yeah, quick elim. Player's gonna go ahead and try to disengage out, but it's not too much of a worry just yet, because it does look like he's gonna be able to escape, and Axe Force and Clousey don't look like they're gonna go on just a wild goose chase searching for him anywhere else, as Hydro and Kaido seem to have won the fight down here. So it does look like it's gonna be 1-1 in 2 games so far. And this is one of those matchups that you kind of watch. 12 games of fighting it out off spawn. Do you really stay here for 12 games? Do you really fight for 12 games? Or do mind games, especially between day 1 and day 2, start to play a role?
I don't know, Jacob. We've seen it happen. But before I get too into it, Skavi and his duo are going to be the ones that come out on top. But look at the mini-map, Jacob. They're not done yet.
Yeah, another team is quickly rotating on over. You have the solo from Pleasant Piazza in the direction as well. It's just making it harder as Chrome and William, they're just breaking their way in. No time being wasted. They spot out Skavi on the other side. Quickly backtrack to get the resources. They weren't plentiful, but they are now.
Gotta be careful, though. Shots are going to be connected onto the duo here. Chroma is going to have to be the one to kind of carry his duo through this fight, keep them up. With just 3 HP left, Skavi now forced to kind of play a game of hide and seek, roll a dice, and hope he gets a pair with the other duo that's coming in.
For Skavi, I think this is a huge blessing. I'm a glass half full type of guy. That duo could have searched for him for quite a while. Now with Chapantini moving in, he could wait for this fight to finishes, especially if Chapantini win. They never knew he was there. So this is going to be his best chance at survival. You even got Hizix, so 2 different solos looking around this fight. Some trying to use it as an opportunity to take advantage, get some surge. They're shooting towards Teeny's box. He quickly takes note of that, but no, the glass is half empty now because Smee just got heard. They spotted him out. 2 versus 1. He finally goes down. He just needed to be patient.
So close, but the thin ice shattered as Chapantini were able to pick it up. And with that, I don't think they will continue forwards. You hear the crash pad come through. Disengagement as well, as Chapantini didn't even get too much damage. I mean, Skavi had like 3 HP, so 1 shotgun shot. That's what they're going to have in terms of Storm Surge. But taking a look at a replay once again, Cammy said he went down early in game 1, and we're going to have a repeat here in game 2.
Oh man, Akira and Easy just making their presence known at that split drop. And this is where I talk about the mind games. I was thinking from day 1 to day 2, but a couple teams are already losing their off-spawn fights in back-to-back games, so it's really kind of forcing that question. Do you switch things up, go to a total different drop? Do you just kind of switch things up, go to a different either floor loot or chest at your drop? Then again, we are talking about Seti and Cammy, so all the experience in the world, especially, you know, they do tend to start a little slow and make their comebacks later on in the game.
I mean, we know Cammy Seti. They're one of the 8 duos that have made all 3 EU finals this chapter. But with 2 games having gone out in the early game with basically 0 points, it's not a good way to start it off. There is a 1.5 times multiplier on the points in day 2 and 4 matches to be played out after this today. So anything can still happen, but what went wrong in red line rig, Jacob? Mustache is eliminated. Malabuka's left alone.
Not only what went wrong, like, does they have the loot? Because in theory, we see that he doesn't have the mythic AR, but does he have the medallion, or do he kind of give it up? Because I've seen that before. Teams get to test it, they get left as a solo. They, instead of running away with the medallion, they drop it to try to make their presence unknown. As Dexy and Eclipse kind of out for revenge. I believe that's Turtle and Cheeps on the other side. It's a team that you have to watch out for, but maybe less so now that Eclipse was ready to get one elimination onto Cheeps, leaving Turtle by himself.
Cheeps sent back to the classroom as Eclipse now is going to see if he can find his duo partner. The 2v1 upper hand for this duo, but Turtle living to his name here in his little turtle base he's made down below. Looking to see if he can hold off.
And this is almost a little bit worse than his position before because Zone is pulling south for the most part yet again, which means a lot of teams will begin to rotate south, which means there's not going to be too many third parties moving in, especially now Turtle just trapped himself into that vault. They're going in. Maybe a different kind of loot. I thought Turtle was going to plan the great escape there for a second, but Dexy and Eclipse, they just get a different kind of loot from that vault.
Turtles aren't too fast, so it is difficult to make a great escape. Eclipse Dexy now with a little confidence boost from those 2 eliminations might be able to take some shots, I'd say mid-range, from these duos, being Nathan and Sky Scroll on the other hand. They don't need to do anything aggressive with those 2 eliminations, just see if they can get more damage. If they do see that engagement go full on though, and they have that potential for another third party, they could play aggressive, but I don't think it's very likely.
Yeah, especially since they didn't get like a massive north zone, but it is pulling relatively towards the center for now. And you talked about their performances when they get a north zone. Hey, at least they can work with something a little bit more towards the middle. But now they end up wall to wall with Maxi Mixstick. Another team towards the north that they have to watch out for as well. So they got to pick and choose their battles wisely here.
You can see them taking shots at the opposing duos from afar. Meanwhile, making sure they have their eyes on the player's box down below them. They know they can get taken by surprise at any moment here, so they've got to be cautious. They got to be aware. 2 duos now, kind of rotating past them. One of them up north of Lavish and the other a bit more southwest. Nice shots being connected. You need to hit those shots in grand finals, Jacob. You don't get too many opportunities to kind of take those shots on duos rotating, but when you get them, you can't miss them.
You got to be careful, though, because they'll start to shoot back, and I think they heard Nathan's shield get cracked. They're going to go up. Let's take a look. The red line rig. This is where Malabuka was by himself, and it almost looks like he doesn't have to worry. You're no longer by yourself. You're just back in the lobby with your teammate.
I'd be worrying if I was back in the lobby, but I'm still curious to kind of what went wrong. Mustache got eliminated earlier on, and they didn't instantly kind of push Malabuka, so I wonder if they just found him as a solo. I wonder how much eliminations Pixie and his duo has. I wasn't able to see it. Could tell me the answer. Let's take a look, though, at how Mystic got this elimination. 1 for the duo.
Yeah, this is something that we kind of saw start to break out before we went into the replay. It was actually CZB that went down. I thought it was going to be Nathan there for a second because Nathan was the one that got cracked by the third party. They instantly heard that and went up, but it was just CZB probably trying to alleviate some of the pressure. He's going to go down for it. I can only assume that's Nathan all the way back in Lavish Lair. He has no choice but to go back, try to get his reboot card. And the biggest blessing for him is if a bunker opens up back there in the storm, they'll have no worries.
Would be ideal. You gotta kind of hope in situations like this. The odds are in your favor. Thomas HD now has kind of, we like to say, that 2024 Storm Surge base set up, blocking those crash pads. But without any eliminations, they are gonna need to do a significant amount of damage. They have time for Deal and Reason. One of the other 8 duos that has made all 3 EU Grand Finals this year. And rightfully so.
Yeah, you see them just trying to elevate themselves a little bit. They don't got the massive Surge Tower. At least they're not utilizing it just yet. Maybe they're still trying to get. They're split up, and that's why you can see they're not just having that full focus towards the top. They need to be able to close the distance right away when they do have a chance. Just trying to make sure they replenish as much as they just use. Axe Force Clownski, they have that one elimination still around Pleasant. Honestly, no reason for them to move, or no drastic reason so soon. They did get the one elimination, some surge, and then the zone is pulling in their favor, so they can realistically take as much time as they need.
Time is everything in the grand finals, both in the early, mid game, even the late game, depending on how much loot you're able to get through your impacts. The thing I'm looking at, though, is in the surrounding area of Pleasant Piazza, they don't have too many options right now, having kind of pulled the zones and being in more a mid-map location. Kiro and Moppy, though, they have a rotate to do.
I'm just interested to see how many times Mappy is going to get the mythic hand cannon, because we did see after that game one, Chaptini say, hey, we are going towards Rift Island. We're not going to let anybody get it for free, even if that means we have a bad game in one of them, which we did see them sacrifice themselves for that Rift Island, try to get that loot. It was Mappy, it was Kiro, the ones that took them down. And with that amount of confidence, that's almost scary to go up against a team like Chaptini.
I mean, if you hit a headshot with that hand cannon, it's a clear advantage for the rest of the fight. Looking in the feed, Flickzy even picking a player up. Oh, look at that, though. Look at Prism Jacob. Both players crouched. Looking for a 3-2-1 onto Mappy, but nothing significant is going to connect.
Yeah, you talk about having to hit those shots. You got to hit those opportunities as well. Those opportunities aren't going to come as freely as you'd think. Players just kind of rotating the open, unsuspecting, because as Zane gets closer and closer towards the end, everybody's going to be in closer proximity to one another, and so players aren't going to be rotating around. They're going to be tunneling. They're going to be in surge bases, boxed up, waiting for that next zone.
You can see Queasy Thomas now using minis, using bigs to recuperate that shield they lost when before they could have just pickaxed the Slurp Cacti. Now they're forced to use all these heals in the mid game to kind of recuperate what they lose getting those surge tags. Issue is in the late game now, they're not going to have too many options to heal. Mappy, though, Hero, weren't too happy with the 3-2-1 onto them. They've decided the aggression now is their side of the play, as a quick crack is going to come on to Casper.
That stair placement was just as beautiful as the shot. Kind of dropped them down into the box. And now they're just ready to get aggressive. They don't want to give them time to heal. Minis, colas, nothing here in a situation like that. They get the wall weak. They nitro their way in there. Freshly built walls. That's not what you're going to use to defend. They're quickly running away on the same layer. Finally, they move up. That's going to be the best way to escape. But Kiro and Mappy are just continuously hot on the heels. And they're even looking like they might try and chop them down altogether. Hey, you're going to run. We're going to bring the fight back down to us.
Nitro's going to run out. They tried playing ultra aggressive, but with unable to make it into their opponent's box. Looks like they're going to take a quick breath as the medkit is going to come through. Prism Casper said, okay, we should probably get to 200 effective HP and shield if they're going to push us like that. The zone is far, and it is going to start closing in just 5 seconds, so I don't think they're going to make another push.
Yeah, they're just trying to go out. Hero Mappy going to get some shots, recycle that same crash pad if they so choose. But they can also go ahead and move forward. Even though the cactuses don't respawn, there could be a chance that, hey, maybe somebody didn't use them. Maybe they can use those to replenish the missing shield, the HP that they might need, since now they're staggering back into zone. Looking up towards the Rift Island, though. I see 3 teams. One of them not necessarily claiming it like they thought and said they would, but Vico Flickzy, 380 above. Even without an elimination, they're always seemingly finding a way to climb that Storm Surge ladder.
Yeah, I mentioned it earlier, but Vico even said it in the interview. I mean, he was feeling perfectly fine with the changes, having not put the Slurp Cacti into their kind of overall strategy for the grand finals. They do have uncontested Reckless, so they have their game plan to get tags, and it's clearly working.
Step 1 right now, and they got a lot of time, a lot of space. Even though the position they're currently at will end up in zone, the rest of the island won't. They can just simply rotate around. I can imagine that's their tunnel. I got into this location, so they're just trying to go ahead and pad it as much as possible. So many players still slow to rotate in, and that's exactly what they're taking advantage of. But Vico goes down. A miracle that nobody else on the island even knew they were up there or saw that, because that would have been an easy green light to push.
But I think they did, as Monier is going to choose that opportunity to push, but quickly enough, Vico's going to be picked up just in time to kind of save them from that aggressive play.
safe for that moment on top of Rift Island, but now everybody here. Business as usual for the next zone after Rift Island. Flickzy zone, it does tend to pull away, making sure it's no longer in zone. Some pools are more drastic than others, and this one does look like it's going to be a far pull towards the southwest.
What's went wrong, though? Podosai Snazy. In the last game, they were looking incredibly healthy in the early mid game. Now, both players no more shield left. They're going to have to pop a cola. Snazy, I'm not even sure what he's going to pop. I think it's a med kit right now, as Podosai has just 5 little ticks left in his Flowberry Fizz. It's not looking good for the duo.
Kieran Easy still sitting on those 2 eliminations. Back-to-back contested wins against Seti and Cammy. And this is the first time all chapter that Seti and Cammy have had back-to-back 0-point games. And it's just going to show the pressure of a finals lobby with some changes, being forced to adapt with very little time. I think it was this Boop and Noble was like the only session of practice some of these players did get going into this grand finals. And I don't think every single player has even played in that session. So very little practice going around. Adapting on the fly is kind of the name of the game, and I will not be surprised if as we get close to the end of day 1 or even into day 2, if things change yet again for these players, figuring out how to play with the changes that came at them.
I mean, that's the Fortnite competitive spirit, adapting as quickly as possible and being able to do it better than your opponents. Easy Akira now gonna use that crash pad rotation. I'm looking at the map, kind of where they're rotating towards. They have potential to get shot at, but the good news is a bit of that natural cover is going to be put into play from the ridge. Even a bit of an opportunity to refarm, but was it worth it? As now Easy's duo partner's been split up. He's left them alone. Akira's gone down. Was that pickaxe to those small little trees worth it? Easy's now gonna have to play the rest of this match out alone.
Yeah, that looked at me for a second. I go down trying to farm when I don't even necessarily need the materials too much. Akira is gonna have to rethink that one. Luckily, he's there. He can help his teammate out with some vital information, probably some mat calls, maybe some things he doesn't see in that moment. Just because you're down and out, as long as your teammate is still alive, your job is not done just yet.
I mean, Malibuca showcased it in the first game. Got an 8th place finish. I think Merstash got knocked down before any of the moving zones, so getting 8th place as a solo is incredibly difficult. If Easy can replicate what Malibuca did last game, it could be more than enough to kind of save this match. Chicho going to be another player. Is he a solo? He is. Trulex has gone down. Issue is also 12 below. Going to get ticked by Storm Surge. All he needs is 1 tag, Jacob.
Literally just one from any of his weapons, aside from maybe some distance on the gatekeeper. Luckily for him, Chap and Tini are positioned so high, they just can't see off the edge of that mountain, because that would have been an easy push for a team like them. They're looking towards the backside of zone, to where most of those players have a ton of distance to cover compared to everybody else. As Chicho still getting tagged up, finds himself above the damage threshold for a moment and a chance to breathe.
For 9dela. More than enough damage, as they're kind of just looking through their builds right now, waiting for an opening to try and take some shots. Shots come through. Nothing is going to connect. It's going to be for Ryan. Flip Monk close by. 1 window edit is all it's going to take for Dela to take the shot.
Patience, just not trying to stretch themselves too thin to go for any surge. You saw them just well above that threshold. It's not even a necessity at this point. So art skill, Shaco's combat on the other side. Just a quick little pre-fire as he broke the stair. He was probably down on surge, suffering to the active damage and kind of his last desperation attempt.
Thomas HD Queasy put into desperation as now they have to find an outing of the position they're currently in. The crack comes through. It kind of gives your opponents the idea that you're getting tagged by Storm Surge and you're incredibly low. No more shields to recuperate it. Now just 10 above, but 1 tick away from getting eliminated.
Oh, barely gets above. I thought he was just waiting. He's being patient. Probably hearing the communication coming out from Queasy. Hey, I shot when I landed one. That's barely above, though, 10. As soon as they fall below, I do believe Storm Surge will reactivate, taking down Thomas altogether. Not just a knock, but eliminated from the lobby, leaving a lot of pressure on Queasy. The only blessing that'll come from that is a lot of resources will go on to Queasy, who would then be a solo. So this team is just facing a lot of pressure, and we're barely halfway through the game.
Hopefully we don't have to cue the violins here. 34 above still. literally in the blink of an eye. Thomas could end up getting eliminated. The rotate's gonna come through. One shot from Kovacs could be it. But it looks like the rotation isn't gonna be through the tunnel, so Thomas and Queasy should have a bit more time to stay up.
Yeah, 297 above the surge. They have the flexibility to go over. I almost think Queasy and Thomas will want to go a road a little bit more traveled. And Thomas is just trying to rotate up, over, ends up against Forzen and Gudenbra. They're going to take him down. Queasy's now left by himself, and he's feeling that same pressure. 17 below the damage threshold. A good amount of material. Really nobody to go and aim at. He's on the side of the mountain while everybody's positioned above. This is a tough position for Queasy to be in.
Shots are coming through, but he's getting put into panic here, as just 35 above can go down any second now. The good news is he does have a lot of players close by. The bad news is none of them are currently peeking him. And if he decides to kind of build up towards them, it could be an issue, but I see what you saw, Jacob. Bottom right mini map. He has pulled the 8th zone. Prime positioning, but everything else is definitely not primed up.
Yeah, this is just going to give him the best chance to get Surge because everybody has to rotate in his direction, but can he wait that long? Storm Surge is now active. He is on the clock, seconds to wait, and he's not even necessarily going out for the hunt just yet. He can't. He doesn't want to give up the elimination points over to anybody else, but he finds himself above the threshold. 87, that's a little bit more confidence to start to build on, but 15 HP. This is frightening.
If Queasy manages to even get a little bit of placement here, it would be absolutely incredible. Record-breaking clutch. But just one shot away. The sliver of HP that he has, all an opponent has to do is sneeze on him and he'll get eliminated. He's getting those little tags. It's keeping him above, but for how long can he keep it up?
Yeah, those little tags, it's like a mental battle. Oh, below Surge. Oh, I'm above Surge. Oh, I'm below Surge. Just a constant threshold changes for Queasy. But that's also a testament to how close the Storm Surge threshold actually is for some other players in this lobby. Monier getting targeted on the outside of zone. Queasy trying to take advantage of that one. And he's running out of builds quick. So not only does he need that refresh for any HP shields that he can get, but it's the materials because he's quickly going to run out if the zone does pull far away.
Storm Surge no longer active. Queasy, breath of fresh air now as he sees where the next pull is. It's not going to pull back, unfortunately, but neither does he have to do an incredibly far rotate. He has the crash pads, but the issue is, Jacob, he uses a crash pad, one shot out of the air, and he's gone. Swizzy and Vanya looking incredibly healthy down below. And with just 2 seconds left, the rotate's going to come through.
I'm honestly waiting in anticipation to see what the plan is for Queasy here. It's almost like all or nothing. You have to go for the crash pad. Lands a couple of shots on that rotation, but you see him falling below that threshold yet again. More and more players do need to go down, making it harder and harder for someone like Queasy to survive. 40 seconds until Storm Surge starts to activate. If it doesn't get below that threshold, the players are falling fast. A blessing for Queasy. Can he stay alive, though, is the big question.
That's the timer. It's literally Queasy's timer. He's one tick away from getting eliminated. Once that timer that's at 25 seconds now reaches 0, Storm Surge will activate and start ticking. He needs to do more damage. He's just 32 below.
Yeah, he even landed another shot, but doesn't really move the needle at all. There are teams positioned in front, but they're almost full duos, making it not only a tough, but a very, very risky situation. And now that he's fresh out of mats and resources, he only has to wait for that opportunity. Somebody to rotate on by, possibly a solo, and just try to pop out of the wall at the perfect moment. The blessing here for Queasy is he's getting all of these placement points. Top 13, he's almost collected half of them already.
How is he doing it? Enough players got eliminated where Storm Surge is no longer going to be activated, and he's still up. He's doing a great job, but the pressure comes through. Top 13 for Queasy. It was a good play for what he had up above. It's going to be Della for 9.
Only for so long, though. Immediately have to give that one up, and they're going on a chase. Fall damage is real for Della. Maybe a little bit of a mistake for him, but at least he's able to survive. The gentlemen are trying to be as gentle as possible with the lobby, but it does require being just a little bit aggressive, and they've taken the high ground, and now a chance to look down from above. This is a pressure situation, and they need to play their cards right.
Voltiax down below, annihilating their opponents, close to 8 eliminations as he's trying to get ahead, but Cool has gone down. Voltiax is left alone. The pressure might be too much as he just has 2 builds left.
Oh, medkit's being popped, though. Cannot save it for a heal-off scenario. Cannot save it to stagger himself back either. Doesn't have enough time in Storm to do that. 9th place. Half of the placement points have been achieved. But he's so far back. Even Chap goes down because of it. No Teeny in sight, so they're going to go ahead and end in ninth place in this game as Vico, Flickzy, they're taking the low ground and they're taking full control. Meanwhile, fight is happening in the clouds. Hopefully no thunder happens because Gentleman gets taken down. Hopefully it's raining loot as the other player just drops down as well. Woks and Pings have now overtaken the elevation above everybody else and now in the driver's seat.
The issue is just 4 builds onto Woks. If Ping doesn't have much more, they're going to be in desperation for finding an elimination. But down below in the mud, it's Vico and Flickzy annihilating the opponents. Already 7 eliminations for the duo, and now they're looking height. They need to make that game-winning play.
Yeah, they're looking deep in the zone. They're trying to chop down high ground, not necessarily to overtake it, but to make it easier to fight them at the end. A little bit of refresh mats coming in, needed for Vico and Flickzy. Now they can claim just a little bit more space down low at the bottom, but they run into Pablo first. Big elimination being picked up. More materials, but the high ground, Ping and Woks, they come down to challenge.
Somebody needs to call security. Vico and Flickzy are looking unstoppable as now they're forced to make their way on up. This is the play I was talking about. It's on to Ping. Can he connect his shots? They've overthrown height, but they have to close it out.
It's coming crashing down for a quick second, but they reconnected on the other side. Vico, Flickzy saving the dashes for the perfect moment, but Flickzy gets beamed out of the sky. Vico's by himself, falling from above like a thunderbolt from the sky. He strikes and takes the game.
Vico, are you kidding me? The 1 versus 2 in the late game, he loses his duo partner, but the pressure does not get to him. This is why we talked about Vico, one of the most dominant, aggressive duos currently on EU, if not the most, and they are showing exactly why they deserve their spot in the global championship.
And it all goes back to resource management, making sure they not only have the materials, they have the heals, they have the position on the low ground, but the biggest thing right there, you see that little skull on the Vico? That was able to push him above, retake the high ground, and turn the tables on their opponents.
The most dominant high ground team during the semifinals have done it once again. You said it, the mix of patience, the mix of aim, aggression, and calculated strategies to close it out. Not only with the VR, but with 11 eliminations. That is going to blast them up the leaderboard.
Yeah, they might have taken the Thunderbolt of Zeus out of the game, but they forgot to take the Thunderbolt of Vico out of the game. But with 2 games done and over with, we're going to throw it to a quick commercial break. On the other side, we'll see that leaderboard.